The throne room of Prince Zarthek stretched before Captain Sarah Chen like a cathedral of obsidian and starlight. Crystalline pillars soared toward a domed ceiling that displayed the swirling nebulae of the Andorian system, while holographic flames danced along the walls in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The Vorthak nobility stood in perfect rows, their six-limbed forms draped in ceremonial silks that shifted color with their emotions, currently a uniform shade of deep purple that Sarah had learned meant reverent anticipation. At the center of it all sat Prince Zarthek on his throne of whispers, a magnificent construct of living metal that responded to his thoughts and emotions. The throne's surface rippled like mercury, occasionally forming spikes or flowing into new configurations as the prince's mood shifted. It was said that the throne could read the deepest thoughts of anyone who approached, and that it had driven lesser beings mad with the weight of cosmic truth. Sarah stood in the designated spot, her simple Earth diplomatic uniform a stark contrast to the alien grandeur surrounding her. She had been summoned here for what the Vorthak called a judgment of worth, a ceremony to determine whether humanity deserved to join the Galactic Confederation as anything more than a client species. "Silence," Prince Zarthek commanded, his voice carrying the harmonic resonance that all Vorthak used for formal proclamations. The words seemed to echo from the throne itself, multiplying and reinforcing until it became a physical presence in the room. The human will now demonstrate why her species believes itself worthy of consideration for Confederacy membership. The prince was an imposing figure, even by Vorthak standards. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed with an iridescent sheen, and the neural crown that marked his royal status pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. His four primary eyes fixed on Sarah with the intensity of a supernova, while his secondary sensory organs tracked her heat signature, electromagnetic field, and pheromone output. "Speak your species' greatest achievement," the prince continued, his mandibles clicking in what Sarah recognized as anticipation. "Tell us of your mightiest conquest, your most profound discovery, your greatest work of art or engineering marvel. Justify your existence before the assembled nobility of Vorthak Prime." Sarah looked around the room, noting the expectant faces of the alien courtiers. She had prepared for this moment for months, studying Vorthak culture and diplomatic protocols. She knew they expected her to speak of humanity's space program, their terraforming projects, or perhaps their quantum computing breakthroughs. The Vorthak valued strength, achievement, and cosmic significance above all else. Instead, Sarah began to chuckle. It started as a small sound, barely audible in the vast chamber. But in the throne of whispers domain of absolute silence, it might as well have been a thunderclap. The Vorthak courtiers shifted uncomfortably, their silk garments flickering between purple and the yellow of confusion. "You dare?" Prince Zarthek began, his neural crown flashing angry red patterns. But Sarah's chuckle had grown into genuine laughter. Not the polite diplomatic laughter she might have used in a formal setting, but the deep belly-shaking kind that bubbled up from pure amusement. The kind of laughter that was utterly, irrepressibly human. "I'm sorry," she gasped between bursts of mirth, wiping tears from her eyes. "It's just, you want to know our greatest achievement? Our greatest achievement is that we're standing here having this conversation at all." The prince's throne began to shift and writhe, its surface forming aggressive spikes as it responded to his growing fury. "Explain yourself, human, before I have you executed for this disrespect." Sarah tried to compose herself, but fresh waves of laughter kept breaking through. "Do you know what humans were doing just 500 years ago? We were burning each other alive for believing in slightly different versions of the same gods. We were convinced that the Earth was the center of the universe and that bathing was dangerous to our health." The laughter was infectious in a way that transcended species barriers. Despite themselves, some of the younger Vorthak courtiers found their mandibles twitching in what might have been amusement. Their garments began showing flecks of the orange that indicated mirth. 300 years ago," Sarah continued, her voice growing stronger as the laughter evolved into something more complex. "We figured out how to split atoms, and the first thing we did was use that knowledge to vaporize 2 cities full of our own species. We nearly destroyed our entire planet multiple times through sheer stupidity and paranoia." Prince Zarthek rose from his throne, his full height making him tower over the human diplomat. "Then why do you laugh? Why do you mock your own failures?" "Because we're here," Sarah exclaimed, spreading her arms wide. "Don't you see how ridiculous that is? We're a species that spent most of its existence trying to kill itself. And somehow we not only survived but made it to the stars. We went from throwing rocks at each other to building starships in the span of a few thousand years. That's not an achievement, that's a cosmic joke, and the punchline is that it actually worked. The throne of whispers had gone eerily still, its surface mirror-smooth as if it were deep in thought. The assembled courtiers were now openly displaying emotions ranging from confusion to genuine amusement. Their garments a riot of conflicting colors. "We're not the strongest species in the galaxy," Sarah said, her laughter finally subsiding into something more thoughtful. "We're not the smartest or the most technologically advanced or the most spiritually enlightened. What we are is impossible. We're the species that should have died out a dozen times over, but somehow stumbled our way to this moment. We're the cosmic equivalent of someone juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle across a tightrope. It shouldn't work. Everyone knows it shouldn't work, but somehow we keep not falling." Prince Zarthik stared at her for a long moment, his neural crown cycling through patterns she had never seen before. "And this impossibility, this is what you offer the Confederation?" "Hope," Sarah said simply. "If we can make it this far despite being such beautiful disasters, then maybe there's hope for everyone else too. Maybe the universe has a sense of humor, and maybe that's exactly what it needs." The prince was quiet for a long time, his throne reflecting his inner contemplation by shifting through a slow, hypnotic dance of forms. Finally, he began to make a sound that Sarah had never heard from a Vorthak before, a rhythmic clicking that she slowly realized was laughter. "Impossible," he said, and his throne seemed to chuckle along with him. "Absolutely impossible. Welcome to the Confederation, humans. We apparently need more impossibility in our lives." As the Vorthak court erupted in their own version of applause, a complex harmony of clicks, chirps, and harmonic resonances, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the best diplomatic tool wasn't strength or wisdom or technology. Sometimes it was simply the audacity to laugh at the cosmic joke of existence itself. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe laughed back.